A solar eclipse in Libra, war and peace is the theme for the collective. Me and we is the theme in our personal lives. And the rise and the fall is the theme in general. Hello, my name is Eliane Nicole. I'm your astrologer and tarot reader. And in this video, I'm going to talk about both the astrology and the tarot of the solar eclipse in Libra taking place Wednesday, October 2nd at 11:49 a.m. Pacific time on the West Coast. Adjust for your time zone accordingly. We are coming to the other side of the eclipse portal that we've been in since the lunar eclipse in Pisces, September 17th. This is a very dynamic time, turning point in the year for the collective, karmically, and also in our personal lives. But before I go on with the complete interpretation, I want to say that if you're watching this on my Instagram, I will only post the first 5 minutes here. The entire video will be available on my YouTube channel, Eliane Nicole. My YouTube channel is my name, Eliane Nicole. I will provide a link to get there in the bio. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Please hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Please like, please comment, please share. It will help me in the algorithm, help me to grow my channel, help put me in a position to continue to give these free astrological offerings. If you're watching on Instagram, please make sure that you are following me at astrology.tarot.eliane-nicole, and also like, comment, share. It all helps me in the algorithm and puts me in a position to grow my following and to continue to give these free astrological offerings. And now, without further ado, here is my interpretation of the solar eclipse in Libra on Wednesday, October 2nd. And solar eclipses happen at new moons, and so you know, if you follow my astrology, the new moon are seed planting moments, whether we are consciously doing it or not. We are planting seeds, so we might as well do it with some intention. And wherever the new moon is happening in our personal charts, that is where the focus of it will be in our personal lives, although there are general properties for the collective, as we are all under the same sky and all having this new moon happen. And solar eclipses are when the shadow of the moon covers the sun, so it's passing between the earth and the sun. And to ancient civilizations, this shadow over the sun had very significant oracular meaning. The sun is often associated with solar figures. So solar figures are usually kings, presidents, world leaders, on a more micro level, it can represent bosses or fathers, coaches, CEOs. We all have solar figures in our lives. And then of course, as countries, we have solar figures for our country. And, so you see how that works. And so it has to do with the shadow covering solar figures. So this can often be the death of solar figures. This can be the fall of the solar figure. They can somehow be blocked, or the shadow is coming up. So these are themes that we might see on the world stage around solar figures at this eclipse. We're also dealing with Libra, and Libra rules, on the one hand, Libra does rule like the law, justice, diplomacy, peace. So we can see the shadow or blocking of these kinds of topics or people who represent this, so judges, lawyers, politicians. And then there's the side of Libra that has to do with beauty and art and relationships, marriage, these types of topics. So we can be seeing the shadow come up for these topics as well during this solar eclipse. Also, to note, the solar eclipse tells a story. The new moon every month tells a story. The ingress chart of that new moon tells a story of the entire lunar cycle. So this new moon is taking us all the way to November 1st. So it's telling a story of what's happening October 2nd to November 1st. What makes eclipses are that they are near the nodes of fate, Rahu and Ketu, the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon. This eclipse is on the south node. The south node is very associated with elimination, an exit point, a release point, a letting go, karma, the past. The south node brings experiences that reminds us that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It connects us to the spiritual realm in some way. It takes us away from being overly identified with the earthly realm. It reminds us of what's really important, who we truly are on a soul level. Let's see. So yes, it represents karmic, pivotal turning points in the year, the eclipses. If you have any personal planets in Libra at 10 degrees Libra where this eclipse is happening, it's going to be very, very personal to you. But even if you have any personal planets at any of the cardinal signs, meaning Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, or which cardinal did I leave out? Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, or Aries, 9 to 11 degrees, it will be a very personal eclipse in your personal life. And even if you have them in any of the air signs, because it'll be forming a trine if you have any planets at 10 degrees Gemini or 10 degrees Aquarius. So those are all places to watch if you have those degrees in your chart. This will be a very personal eclipse to you. But no matter what, this eclipse is going to be playing out on the world stage in very significant ways that affect us all, because we're all a part of this world and the things that are happening in this world. So if you haven't already watched my Libra equinox video, because that ingress chart of the sun into Libra tells a story of the entire fall season. And this new moon is one of the waves that's coming in. And then the new moon of Scorpio will be another wave that's coming in. And then the next new moon of Sagittarius will be another wave kind of crashing into the overall story that the Libra equinox video was telling. But there's so much here to do with the dark side of the law, the dark underbelly of the justice system. And these are themes that we are dealing with throughout the whole fall season, but in a very dense, shadowy way through the entirety of this Libra season. And this new moon is building up to a culminating point October 17th at the full moon of Aries, which is a very kind of warrior full moon. And I'm going to do a separate video about that. I don't want to get into it too much here because I don't want to make this video too long, but understand that this new moon is building up to this Aries full moon that is going to be ruled by Mars, the god of war, who's debilitated in Cancer, which has so much to do with home security, but homeland security. So more to come in my Aries full moon video. Stay tuned for that. But I wanted to continue to say that if this eclipse is happening on your ascendant, sun, or midheaven, it could be an experience for you where you are coming into sudden recognition or a sudden state of prominence. You know, in general, we're going to be dealing with the Libra Aries axis, and we've been in this series of eclipses since July of 2023. So this is a part of an eclipse story that's unfolding from July of 2023, taking us until January 2025. But the eclipses are where the story, the pivotal turning points of the story are, that then set the trajectory for the next few weeks, few months. So you are probably aware of any story that's been unfolding in your personal life around this, and it has a lot to do with self versus relationships, me versus we. There's probably at this point a recognition coming up of relationship patterns that you may want to release or break because you are starting to realize how they somehow hold you back or create difficulty in your life. In terms of the collective, it has very much to do with the war. You know, that first solar eclipse in July, you know, I predicted the Israel-Gaza war. I didn't know exactly what it would be, but I saw a war starting that was going to be leading to what looked like World War III in the planets, with four world leaders standing off. And it seems that this is really coming to a head in these 2 weeks from this solar eclipse going to the Aries full moon on October 17th. So yes, the Libra Aries axis, it's the axis of war and peace. It's the axis of me and we. It's the axis of the rise and the fall. Yes, we see prominent figures rising to power and others falling from power. You know, Aries is the spring. That's the ascent of the sun. That's the sunrise. That's the sun gaining light in the year. Aries is the descent into darkness when the sun is falling. That's why Libra season is the fall. And so that's why the Aries-Libra axis is also associated with the rise and the fall. When we're dealing with the sun, we're talking about the rise and the fall of solar figures, presidents, world leaders, bosses, CEOs. So that's really a lot about what this eclipse is about. And then the 2 weeks leading up to the full moon is also about. And then even on the waning side of the full moon, the 2 weeks that will be leading to the Scorpio new moon, which is then so much about the election. So we are in it, folks. We are in it. Libra has so much to do with legal cases. Some people are going on with legal cases in their personal lives, but there are very important legal cases right now that are affecting the collective and that are affecting and shaping the collective consciousness. So that is very much a part of this cycle. So again, the ingress chart telling a story of the entire cycle. There is a grand water trine that is forming in this ingress chart, and that is between Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, Mars, the god of war, and Saturn, the great authoritarian, the great disciplinarian, Father Karma, Father Time. These three entities are coming together in the sky. They are testifying, they are reflecting back to us what's happening on planet Earth. On a geological level, we can see all of this water energy happening, the floods that are happening. They were also reflected by the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, September 17th, go back and watch that video. If you haven't, I talked about how much that's about the ocean and water. The element of water is very powerfully swirling around in this cycle as well. You know, Mars is debilitated, Venus is debilitated, and Saturn, to the ancients, Pisces was not the best sign for Saturn, but now we might call it peregrine. It's not debilitated, it's not in a good, dignified. But these three planets are working together in harmonious trine, which means it is for the ultimate good. There is a lot of good to come out of this. There is a silver lining that is happening, even though it may be hard to see. There is a lot of support, compassion, generosity, emotional intelligence, emotional support that is happening through this. Again, it manifests differently in our personal lives than it does on the collective. I think that I will come back and do a separate video on the groundwater trine, because again, I don't want to make this video too long, but I do want to mention the things that are impacting this solar eclipse chart and telling a story of the month ahead. And this groundwater trine energy is very much a part of that story. And what it comes to mind with, for me, is this concept of reality transurfing. And this is about how our emotions can affect and shape our reality. So even when seemingly negative things have happened to us or are happening to us, how our thoughts and feelings about that shape the reality around that moving forward into the future. And I'm going to do a deep dive into this topic and how it works with astrology in the groundwater trine video that I'm going to post more around October 4th. So also stay tuned for that. But basically, with the astrological transits and even the astrological configurations within our birth chart, there are a myriad of ways they can play out. I always say when I'm reading somebody's chart, I feel like I'm reading the sheet music of that person's life, you know. It's kind of a karmic blueprint. But I like to call it the sheet music because I love music. I work with so many musicians. I read for so many musicians. My film, Hargrove, is about a musician, and if you haven't watched it already, it'll be available on Amazon Prime in a couple of weeks. But, so when I'm reading someone's personal chart, it's like the sheet music of that person's life that I'm reading. But the musician the soul is the musician. We can play that sheet music differently. There are certain songs that have been recorded or covered by different musicians, and each musician gives it something that's all their own. And that's how the soul plays the chart. And that's how our soul can play the transits. And that's where the benefit of knowing the astrology comes in, because it's like, if you know you're going to be expressing these energies in a certain way, this conscious awareness, you can choose to express it in a certain way. It's like you can make this sacrifice to the planets, to the gods, give them what they want, but you can interpret it in your own way. And there's always the most shadow side of how to express these transits, and there's always the most highly elevated side of how to express these challenges, you know? And it's all about what frequency we're on. And that's where the reality transurfing comes in. And I'm going to talk about that more in a separate video, because it's such a deep topic and a deep subject, and it's something that, again, I'm doing a deep dive into studying and working with more as an individual. And I want to share that with you. So more on that to come. But that's what one of the things that this grand trine, this groundwater trine involving you know, Venus, Mars, and Saturn. Venus and Mars both debilitated really makes me think of. You know, it has a lot to do with, you know, the ocean, and it has a lot to do with our emotions, you know. And the ocean is the soul of the earth. Water is the soul of the earth. So, you know, I'm going to talk a lot more about that in the Grand Trine video, because I think it's a beautiful topic, and it's an important topic for us here on earth right now, as conscious beings, to be integrating into our psyche and into how we approach our lives and how we approach our reality. But yeah, this South Node eclipse in Libra, a lot from the past might be coming up. There might be some resolving of karma and past relationships, and a karmic balance of past acts in relationships that's coming up. And for the collective, there's a past karmic balance for past acts of war that's coming up here, you know. And, you know, it does seem like diplomacy and peace are difficult in this period, with the shadow coming over the Libra sun. But the South Node does put us in touch with the spiritual nature of life, you know, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And sometimes that comes through experiences that on this earthly realm seem difficult, you know, losses that on this earthly realm seem unfair. Libra deals with fairness, you know. But in the cosmic realm, in the universal realm, there is some spiritual gift, some spiritual growth or spiritual evolution that comes as a result of this. And these are things that are, you know, these are sensitive subjects and sensitive topics. But, you know, this South Node has a theme of the clearing away spiritually and mentally and relationally of some kind of clutter in our lives, whether that be the clutter of our past patterns, the clutter of how we think about things, the clutter within our spirit, and, you know, meditation and prayer is always good through all of this. Another thing is that Mercury is in the heart of the sun, you know, just coming out of its cazimi at this lunar eclipse. So it's the sun, it's the Mercury, it's the South Node, and Black Moon Lilith all together. Black Moon Lilith is so much a part of this eclipse and a part of this cycle. Black Moon Lilith represents suppressed and or repressed sexual desires, sexual expression rising to the surface to be dealt with, suppressed or repressed feminine rage or anger rising to the surface. It has to do with taboo topics coming up, secrets coming up. It has to do with the wild woman archetype, the disobedient woman archetype, the rebellious woman. All of this is coming up at this solar eclipse and through this entire lunar cycle, taking us to November 1st, leading up to this full moon in Aries. So this is a whammy of an eclipse, boy. Like, there's a lot that's happening. And I forgot to even talk about Lilith in the beginning. Yes, this eclipse is conjunct Black Moon Lilith. I've said so much already. This eclipse is also creating a cardinal grand cross with the nodes of fate and, you know, Mars in Cancer and Ceres in Capricorn. So there is so much about war, but there's also stuff about sensitive family karma coming up, ancestral karma coming up, homeland karma that's coming up. And then Ceres in Capricorn brings in, you know, that has to do with the family karma and parents and the nurturing principle and mothers, but it's also grain and agriculture and how we nourish ourselves. You know, there's challenges with food growing, there's challenges around the food that we're eating, and you know, there's a lot here. In this chart, again, Pluto is at the 29th degree of Capricorn, the end of the old world as we know it. We're in the we're in the finale. Go back, watch my Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn video. I posted around August 30th to September 1st. I don't want to repeat it all here, but there's a lot in this cycle that has to do with Pluto being at that 29th degree of Capricorn and, you know, the crumbling, the grand finale of the old world as we know it. We're in an intense time, you know. Pluto's only at that 29th degree every 248 years. So this is a very specific time in history that we happen to be alive and taking a part in. And so that's significant, you know. I urge you to, you know, watch that video and understand where we are in history and what our part in this is to do, to participate in this moment and in the co-creating of this new future that we're going into at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which will be the point of pure potential. You know, so it's up to us to co-create with these energies or be tossed around in this by these cosmic currents. But the empowering position to take is to co-create with the energies. You know, again, our souls are the musicians playing the cosmic notes, you know. So I think I've touched on a lot of the things I want to say here. I will be rolling out separate videos on the transits of October that are going to further color in, you know, the lines that I've drawn, you know, the picture that I've drawn with this solar eclipse that is telling the story of this entire month of October 2nd to November 1st, culminating with the full moon in Aries, October 17th. But, you know, there are other things. Jupiter will be stationing retrograde in this cycle. Pluto will be stationing retrograde in this cycle. You know, Mercury will be moving into Scorpio. So I'm going to be doing videos on these cosmic events. The exact water trine is forming October 4th to October 8th. So I'm going to be doing specific videos, breaking it down into sections, because I know it's a lot of information that I'm giving in one video and it's a lot to take in. But now for the tarot, the astrology of the solar eclipse is number 11. That is 10/2/2024, adding 1 + 2 + 2 + 2 + 4. The Justice card, this is the Rider-Waite deck, the most classic astrology deck. I call it the Ballet of the Tarot. It's a good deck to learn on if you want to learn. But Justice, this is the theme. This is the theme of the month, the Justice. And with this solar eclipse, this is the Afro Tarot. I love the Justice card here. This is my Wandering Star Justice card. But we are really looking at the dark underbelly of justice. And there is the justice of the justice system here on planet Earth, the man-made justice system. And then there is the justice system of God, of the universe. And both are going to be big themes in play in this month. So thank you for joining me. Astrology always works best if you get a one-on-one reading with an astrologer. My books are open. I would love to read for you. You can go to my website, eliannicole.com, to book a reading. You can also go to my Instagram page, astrology.tarot.eliannicole. Follow me there and hit the contact button. That'll take you right to my email to schedule a reading with me. I will also put my email below in the notes here to schedule a reading with me. So there are ways to find me on all of my socials, but definitely contact me for your own personal reading. This is a great time to gain an understanding of your personal chart. I would love to read for you. Again, that's how I think astrology works best, when you're reading one-on-one, but I love to give these free astrological offerings as well, because I believe that everyone who wants access to astrological knowledge should have it if they want. And thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful October and solar eclipse. Co-create with the universe for the best possible outcomes. And God bless us all.